All right. What's going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and we are back here once again at SSS1-10. This is the 31, I think 33, and I have to remember the other ones too as well, 39 and 40. Right, so we got Nephisto's Kingdom of 33. That apparently is fighting. So from what I've been told, we'll have to see if we can have a look out here. But we got TD going up against BXM right now. And it started popping off a little while ago. I was trying to finish some things up so I could get some action here. Thankfully, multiple of you were pinging me to let me know about the fighting that was happening. I have to give some potential shout outs. I always wonder why it just says a random name, but I think it was N, Mando, and I think Circer ended up reaching out to me. So thank you guys so much. Again, always got to give credit where credit is due anytime I'm able to actually follow through or follow up on the heads up notices. So it looks like TD putting in some work here on this BXAN CF. Where was that down? 31% we got right now. And then we got TD here, BXM. I don't know if there's anyone else. We got BXO, I think. I just saw less. I don't know if I see Nephisto here. Ooh, a little bit of fighting up here on the flank. Yo, it's popping up everywhere, boys! Hey! And girls, of course, we're gender neutral here. And we got TR up against 066E. Dang, this is wild. Okay, cool. So I just got to make sure I'm understanding where the fighting range is. Let's see. Is anyone flanking on the south? Okay, let's look at where's our scope. We got a lot of people coming in. Okay, so we got BXAN. Oh, I see. So TD was basically able to flag out. So it's all kind of fighting around this area. Okay, dope sauce. Dude, this is massiveness right here. All right, I love it. Let's see if we can. Let's take a look at leaderboards real quick if it'll pop. I don't think it's too bad. So, I don't know. Nephisto's BXS, so unless he walked his troops over, which potentially could have. Again, we'll have to kind of just keep our eyes out to see if we do. Otherwise, let's enjoy some of the fighting, right? And I'm curious, are we seeing a lot of those Ordos and those Crags? Probably not going to see any Nikos. Unless they're just, I mean, it depends, right? So this is something we talked about before, where it's if you're trying to kind of speed destroy or speed build, usually you want to run engineering heroes. Again, Crags, Ordos, Nico as an example. You run those. Nico's a little iffy because obviously if you're fighting and you're kind of sending units out into the field to fight, you can make the argument it's actually better to just send PvP units out. And use those to destroy and or build, where you have the understanding that you're going to engage and then disengage at certain points in time. So, and let me give you an example. All of these players here should be online. I just want to point that out. You are in an active war zone, which means that if there is a moment where you need to come online, unless you just have a throwaway Legion, for example, if you're running an Ordo or a Crag, which is probably more ideal, right? Maybe you could kind of make the argument for a Nico, but you're just sending that out and you don't care if it dies or not. Okay, that's different. But if you're sending an actual PvP march there and you are not disengaging from building or from destroying the CF to fight, that's what should be happening. That is the expectation when we're talking about high-level PvP. It's the ability to be able to make those adaptions and those real-time actions in the moment, not just building and then letting everyone else do the fighting, right? Especially if you have numbers in your advantage. Being able to see everyone disengage at the same time would be so sexy. Just from how it visually looks on a high-level amount of organization and coordination, and then everyone goes and fights, you crush, and then you go back right to destroying. That, to me, would be sick to see. Again, don't know if we're really going to get there at this point in time. Like I've mentioned before, right, we're pretty early when it comes to the kind of level at which we are deploying and enacting strategy and tactics on the field, especially with kind of big group organization, whether you're using voice or you just using text and just relying on mails and messages and markers, etc. Or are you doing both? So it has been interesting to see. All right, so let's take a look and see how some of the PvP is playing out. Oh, wow. We got BX. So they have some other units here. A lot of replenishment that's happening. And, well, what just happened? Looks like there might have been a little... unless those were actual units to BXM2, they are sending. So TD holding pretty well here, right? And if you remember from the screenshot we showed before, the really cool thing is that, and again, we'll have to see. I don't know, man. TD to me is putting up a pretty big fight. Let me see what I have here on the matchups. I want to make sure we get some of the goods here so I can refer. I wasn't referring to my doc just because there's madness that's ensuing right now. Ooh, you know what I got to do? Don't let me forget, guys. I got to grab a screenshot. So always have to grab screenshots. That's the one thing I constantly forget about is when the fighting is happening, making sure that I'm grabbing screenshots of the fight so I can use them for a potential thumbnail or something. Or it's always nice. So, and more importantly, I have to make sure I get the good screenshots for my thumbnail guy. Always helps. All right, cool. So I think we're pretty good. We got a few, so that should hopefully be enough here, which is dope. I don't know where this other one is that I grabbed. All right, so let's see here. We got our boy Sod, man. TOD Sod making moves. I wonder where Sod is ranked. Why did I feel like I saw Sod's name here somewhere? I have to see. There's Jezzy Poo. It's my boy. So Sod ranked number 23 right now on TD. Now, I don't know who the highest TD person, it actually might be Sod. And, yeah, it looks like it probably is TD Sod. And then remember, we have BXM. And let's see who else we have. Ooh, dude, is that a city coming in? BXM XO. Okay, looks like another one came in. I just want to see, who do we have? So I have BXM, BXO, BXD, BXD. I don't know if BXS is down here. I think they're... Yeah, I don't see them down here. I think it's because they're up here, right? No, it's BXL. Yeah, BXS is up here. So they're up there. So, again, if they wanted to fight, right, and if we want to go and look, okay, I don't know if there's any fighting happening up here between BXS and them. Yeah, I don't think so. I think they're just building right now for the most part, and everyone's like, boss, go back. What are you doing? Hang on. I think there was supposed to be some fighting over here with BXL up against Last, and I don't really know what's been happening. I don't know if there's any fighting still happening here. There's not. Okay. Let's go back. I just wanted to come take a look there, because really, at this point, if Nephisto and anyone from BXS wanted to come, they would have to use Resurgence, and it's just not ideal to do that. It just takes a lot more away and a lot more out, because you have to think about it. Even though, I mean, you're what, 50% of your troops are going to the hospital, and then your prestige is getting reset for your policies. So, or your policies get reset, and then you get a 50% refund on prestige. So, really, using Resurgence in the beginning isn't that bad, especially if there's not maybe a lot of fighting, so to speak, that's happening, or even if you're just kind of a mid-high spender and you want to get into the fight, and because you haven't invested anything into prestige yet, or even maybe only a little bit, you could still make the argument, right? It might take you a while to re-heal everything, but if you have enough troops, then you can still make the case that it wouldn't be incredibly impactful. So let's see now. One of the things, I love seeing for any of the fights that we watch is, and this to me, this is one of the reasons why when I do my commentary over wars, sure, giving you some color commentary and talking about some of the matchups and some of the big pushes and comps that we're seeing being ran, right, that might be kind of defining what a meta could be, talking about skills or artifact skills that are being thrown out, like Time Bomb right there, right? Well, I think it's an 8-second timer, right, up to 3 damage. Tears of Arbin being thrown down, right, that's 4 cycles, 8 seconds of healing that you're able to get up to 4 legions. What's interesting about Tears is that it used to be, and I talk about this often, but it used to be you actually could heal 10 of heroes. It was pretty OP, and then they were like, we're going to cut that by 60%, and now it's only going to be 4. So I just always find it interesting. Divine Mercy being thrown, another Tears of Arbin being thrown down. And Tears usually is probably like the best sustainable, or if you're just looking for, like, I guess a sustain artifact where you're getting a lot of kind of heal support or HP support just from the healing mechanic. So being able to use that in some type of a safe distance, especially if you're having to walk pretty far, again, and there you go. I mean, you see quite a few Tears being thrown down. There's Madeline's active. To that Thunder Shadow. being thrown down. So nice there for, I think that was Curse that thrown that, it looked like. Little counter Shadow Games there from Elsu. Hitting 1, could have probably done a little more. That Shadow Games was actually nice right there, hitting 2 or 3. Multiple negative reds coming down right now. That Earth and Judgment being thrown down. That Burst Strike for a single target. Ooh, that was nice right there. You see it. Now, this is one of the things you want to try and avoid. You do not want to bunch. And this is something that I often talk about in a lot of my PvP videos or PvP coverage of Kingdoms, is you don't want to bundle, right? You want to spread out. You basically want to kind of form arcs, is what we call them, like crescent moons is what you basically want to form, or, lines, if you will. And the reason for this, and you can see this on the BXM side too as well, right? You see a clump right here, a clump right here, a clump right here. You basically want, and this is why, again, it's I don't want to say a double-edged sword, but it's kind of it's like one side of the fence and the other. Like on one side, I absolutely love that the ceiling for the quality of PvP that we can get in CoD is so high. But on the other side of it, we're just still at a very entry level, right, when it comes to what we're actually seeing on the field. And I usually refer to, a lot of times we're basically seeing the rock mindset of like murder balls, bunching, and CoD is just so much more than that. And again, I have no doubt in my mind that eventually we are going to see what I would consider to be high-level, coordinated and organized and structured PvP. For the most part, what we usually see, even though we get trickles and kind of glimpses of higher level PvP, in my opinion, but usually what we see is kind of defaulting to that type of rock PvP mindset that they're trying to apply to CoD. And again, that's not to say that people are awful or, oh my gosh, how dare we watch this erroneous display of PvP tactics. No, we're not saying that at all. But it is important to understand the difference and where the potential lies compared to what are we currently seeing. Now, there's been some moments where I've watched PvP and we saw, I can't remember right now what the name was, but I think it was in one of the earlier merge kingdoms. I did a video on this previously, and I touted, I highlighted one of the amazing things that I saw from an alliance that basically went like 30 or 40 legions deep, and they went deep into their enemy's territory. And we later found out that a lot of them were in voice together, and they were doing it on purpose. And I didn't know they were or not, but what I was speculating was that it felt like they were, because they were pushing together as a unit, and because they were going so deep into their opponent's territory, they were effectively cutting off their supply line to an extent, and or their reinforcement line. And so this was something that I just loved seeing. But now, this is the thing, right, where I was kind of talking about this before, where you got BXM is pushing up, doing some damage on these units. These units that are here destroying the fort, in my opinion, should disengage. You disengage, you focus fire down the clumps and the groups. This is where your AoEs really should be at. Right, this is where you go in with your tanks, your off tank, right? You hit a big skill, you try and draw a lot of focus fire, and then you have your AoEs hitting. Basically, the idea is, and this is where I'm gonna, again, I'm not trying to give away too many secrets here because, your boy's a genius at times, but let me say this, is that if you're looking at how to apply certain on-field tactics, you would make an argument and you would say, you would take your AoE Legion comps, or AoE legions that do the most amount of AoE damage and the most not only the most amount of damage, but can hit the most amount of players. And you would focus on clumps like this one here, where you have BXM. And then you would take more of your single target damage, whether that be your physical DPS, maybe some cav units, and then you would focus down those specific outliers, right? You would, right, where you're focus, you're kind of choosing. So you're having big AoE, then you're having more focus fire DPS, and you're targeting either the units one by one as most important, or the stragglers, and then you're having the AoE focus legions focusing the big clumps or groups of units. This is one way, not the only way, but it is one way that you can apply good on-field tactics when it comes to how you're prioritizing who to hit, how to hit them, and why are they important to hit before you start attacking others. But again, I mean, BXM, like I said, we haven't really seen too much good spreading of where you're having good positioning of being able to kind of form offensive and defensive lines, so that way you're able just to kind of take. And right now, because there's so much on the screen everywhere, it might feel a little chaotic. It does seem a little chaotic at times, but I mean, look, they're still destroying this fort, which is crazy to me, because part of it, to me, on BXM's side, is now I'm wondering if it almost feels like they were trying to attack the units destroying the fort, and then because of that, TD was able to maybe start attacking more of their. And this is the thing, when you're trying to attack a fort, and you're trying to destroy buildings, right? Or sorry, not buildings, but engineers, or not engineers, but just units that are destroying, let's say that, destroying a fort or a flag. The important thing to notice is to not fall for the trap. The trap is attacking the units that are not attacking you, right? The ones that are building or destroying a flag or fort. You have to prioritize and focus on the PvP units, the ones that are actually doing the attacking. And then once you clear those out, then you can go and start focusing on the units that are building and or destroying. And again, TD is really close. I mean, I see opportunities on both sides. I actually kind of liked what was happening over here. Ooh, dude, that flanking shadow games there that hit up to 3, that was muy bueno there from Keto BXAN. Again, notice how he took damage from that time bomb that was thrown. This is what I'm talking about on having individual good micro, where this is typically a term that you would usually see if you're watching traditional RTS, right? You watch like professional StarCraft or Command & Conquer, Age of Empires, etc., right? Warcraft, list goes on. Where you're basically time bombs thrown, you move this unit here, and this unit either stays still, or you go right, like bottom right, and this one goes bottom left. So that way, you're just not taking all of that unnecessary extra damage, right, for no reason. So this is slowing down. They're at 4 minutes right now until this gets destroyed. Again, TD, I guess, and TP as well, slowly pushing up here. Ooh, nice Shadow Games being thrown down. That Royal Punishment. Big single target DPS damage there from Yakuza. That was nice. Ooh, another Shadow Games. I don't know if that killed BXM Chief, or is that a unit that was just already running? I almost wonder if... Because you also have to think about the friendly fire, right? You can form unions in this season, and that can help you avoid friendly fire. However, it can really only help you avoid friendly fire for one other alliance. So if BXM or BXMA or BXO or BXAM aren't, again, they can't all be union together, right? So that's the challenge, is that some of them could actually be attacking others. And that's where, again, I'm not necessarily really 50-50 on that, because I actually like the fact that a part of what you need to apply when you're on the field is good coordination. And the fact is that you should not be having a mix of units, in my opinion, here, unless you're union, unless you're allied and you have a union established. But if you don't have a union established, you should be fighting on different lines, or different pathing fronts, if you will, right? So if you had two alliances like that, let's say we're from the river to this tree, and then you had another from the tree to this fort, right? Something like that, where you're kind of forming lines, so you reduce the likelihood of you attacking each other, right? That's really important. But man, dude, this has been pretty awesome to watch, though. I am so excited right now. Here, let's post here. Getting all the good content right now. Great PvP. Love it. I do. I mean, again, I talk about this often. Regardless of my analytical commentary, I absolutely love watching PvP in Call of Dragons. It is, to me, at the pinnacle and the peak of where we are in Kingdom Builders right now. It's a cut above the rest. And I also feel that there's still a lot of room to improve and grow. And I mention this all the time, but one of the things, dude, they are so close right now. It's a minute until this gets destroyed. This is bananas. I love it. Oh my God. It's just a constant back and forth where they're just attacking and just throwing units. Gosh, I'm like spitting at this point. Throwing units. Dude, the Shadow Game's coming down just to try and remove a little bit more. I almost wonder if they're just going to... Actually, the tactic right now is just throw people at it. I wonder if that's what they're going to do. I mean, that would be the smartest thing, is avoid some of the PvP, just throw your units all at it and start building. And that's kind of what it looks like they're doing. This could be actually a heads-up play that they're doing in voice. Maybe they put a marker down, or they put... I mean, you got 20 seconds! Oh my gosh, this is bananas. And regardless of how the war ends out, this has been amazing to watch. Great effort from TD. It does look like they're going to end up getting this, barring something just happens. But this is bananas. Oh my gosh, they're gonna get it! Oh, that was sick! Dude, and you get the overhead. Oh, let's go! That was pretty cool. I am not going to lie. Nice Frost Barrier being thrown down. Little invulnerability where you're not going to take any damage. I believe that's up to 5 seconds. Wow. Multiple Shadow Kings being thrown down. That Royal Punishment. Big single target damage. Oh, gosh. Now you can get kind of into the brawl. And look at this. All that territory gets disconnected too as well. So now eventually, I mean, just this is dope. So one of the things I really would love if I could zoom out this far and still see the fighting, or because again, you have to see how far do I actually have to zoom in here. I would love if I could zoom out one, like here would be great. Something like here or here. Somewhere around this is where I would love to just still be able to see the fighting happening here. Even if you had to do something like a simplified graphics, as an example, for what you've seen done in Rock, I mean, I'd be fine with that. But, I don't know. That's just me. The other thing I always never miss an opportunity to mention in every video is I'm a big fan of just removing counterattack damage. I am, and I say that because I'm just not necessarily a fan of it. The way I view counterattack damage is it's basically a handicap, right? You're telling someone that if they're getting attacked, they're essentially going to automatically attack for obviously the applicable units. You're going to automatically counterattack. And you can see it here, right? Any of these negative whites that you see when you're attacking, the negative white numbers, those are the ones that are being counterattacked, right? And so this is important to have an understanding of. And you can even see this one up here, right? Sack, he's having negative white numbers up here. That's the counterattack damage. My view on this is that if this happens, let me say this, if this happens, Call of Dragons will take themselves to what I would consider to be an untouchable sphere of where no other kingdom builder, unless they implement these exact same features, would ever be able to touch Call of Dragons when it comes to the true skill, level, and competitive quality standard that COD would have. If you remove counterattack damage, a few things actually happen here. One, your game immediately becomes the most free-to-play friendly game out on the market, and that probably has ever existed. With my current level of knowledge and experience in other games that implement these or do not implement these, and there could be some I'm not accounting for, let me say that. However, the reason I say this is because when you remove that, what you're basically saying is that you need to be active when you are fighting out on the field, where you have to click your unit and then click the unit that you want to attack. Instead of, like we've seen in a lot of early kingdoms, or I should say a healthy number of early kingdoms, where you'll have people that'll boost T4, boost T5, and they'll just run like heavy counterattack tank marches as an example, or off-tank legions, and they'll just do a buttload of damage to where, yeah, sure, they'll eventually die, but they're going to do so much damage just in counterattack damage from their legion getting attacked by more of the free-to-play free-to-play players, that it has become somewhat of a turnoff. Like, I've seen people that have said that and that have commented on some of my videos that people have DM'd and just given some feedback on. And this, to me, would allow for what I would consider to be the ultimate true skill to be applied to the game, because every individual would then be accountable for them being online. And of course, albeit an aside, if you have like a connection drop off or something like that, those things typically are not happening 24/7 for hours upon hours when you're trying to fight. Right? Those are more one-off occurrences. We're talking about when you're in game, you're active, you're actually choosing to go and fight. You at that point are clicking on your units, and you are then clicking on who you need to go and attack. What this means is that if you are a free-to-play, what it means is that you could destroy whale marches, T5 marches, as long as the player is either AFK, or if they're in a battle, but you're focus firing them, and they're focus firing others. It just gives you more opportunity to do what we would consider to be pure damage, or pure equal damage across the board without any handicaps and any type of weight limitations, as an example, or kind of weighted, right, or kind of restrictions, if you will. This, to me, is exactly what I would love to see the direction of COD go in. Because if you do this, it now what's really going to end up happening is I mean, if I saw this happen in a game, that's the game, as long as the quality and the graphics were okay, that's the kingdom builder I would invest in. Because that game would immediately become the most free-to-play friendly kingdom builder on the market to ever exist. Once again, to my knowledge. And this is why I would love for this type of mechanic to be removed. And then if you want to make the argument, okay, well, what do you do with the infantry units? Or what do you do with the cav units? Well, in those cases, one example is just, even if you're not doing heavy tinkering, you could do something like just raising their speed stat up a little bit for infantry. Not where it's overpowered, but you raise the speed stat. Maybe you raise the defense and the HP stat a little bit. We're talking, 2-5%, something like that, maybe. And I'm just kind of throwing an example out there. But you can compensate in other ways, right? Understanding that if you're going to run infantry or you're going to run tank comps, that you have a focus, right? It doesn't mean that you should be heavily compensated, but, and again, maybe you don't need to be compensated, right? I'd love for them just to try removing counterattack damage completely, see how it plays out over a couple months, or a month or two at least, at minimum, if not more, collect some data, and then make a decision from there on if you're going to fine-tune infantry or cav march a little bit. And then if you do end up fine-tuning some marches, you do it in very small increments, right? You don't do big swings. But and again, I don't want to beat the topic to death, but it is something I really believe in, and I know there's been quite a bit of support as well for people that have reached out and said, "Yeah, boss, that would actually be a great idea." Again, I just think it would take CoD to another level that is just unknown at this point within the genre. Again, man, shout out to TD. That was awesome on them being able to destroy that CF. Oh, gosh, and then even continuing some of the pushing that we saw there too as well, going into the BXAN territory, the BXM territory as well. And this is going to be interesting because, again, they could technically rally some of these people that are already fighting off. And yeah, man, we're going to have to see what ends up happening here. But this has been pretty awesome. I don't even know if we even saw or were able to catch up with the fight, with any of the fighting happening up here. I guess it was TR06. Let's see. So let's zoom out and just take a look. So, territory got destroyed. Next thing that could really happen at this point would be, it looks like if they're going to push over here on BXM, they're only one flag away. There's also the BXD route and this one. I don't really know what's happening down here. Oh, okay. So maybe there is a little PvP 066. Wow, they're pretty far down there. But yeah, it doesn't look like they're doing any building currently from any of these fronts. So again, we'll have to see how that plays out. Are they going to keep applying the pressure? Really, it just feels like at the moment it's TD trying to keep up their sustained fight. I mean, they've already kind of done and accomplished a great feat already by being able to remove the CF. But again, we'll see. Are they going to be able to sustain and hold? Will the BX family along with 066 down here, and I believe we're in Zoland, if that's right, as long as I have that correctamundo. I do. Lovely. In Zoland. Or are they going to end up getting counter-pushed? And we'll see how that plays out over the next number of hours. But this was awesome. I'm really happy to get some PvP. As I said before, appreciate the pings. And as always, right, if you guys enjoy watching the PvP content, and you'd love for me to try and come and cover your kingdom, let me know. Just ping me. You can either message me on Discord. It's available in the description. You can also join my server, and then you react to the Call of Dragons role. And I have a specific channel there that's called COD Wars Drama, and you're more than welcome to post an update there. Since these merge kingdoms happened for 27 through 90, I've been getting a lot of DMs from people just, again, understanding that I may not always be able to make it to every single one, but what I don't know, I can't potentially go and look at. So even if you're just pinging me as a heads up with the understanding that I may or may not be able to go, I always appreciate it. And in this case, this was just one of those times where I had some time available and was able to come in and watch what I consider to still be some awesome PvP from both sides. So great stuff. Let me know what you guys thought about the PvP, and if there's other types of specific PvP interactions you'd like to see me cover, let me know anything and everything in the comments down below. That is going to be it for me. As always, until next time, I will catch you later.